Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
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 Hello again, my loyal viewers, and welcome to the program, Agriculture on the Move. My name is Phillip Sydney. Today's topic is the OECS Mango Biodiversity Project. And with me to discuss this program is Ms. Nicole La Force-Haynes, who is the Environmental Education Officer in the Department of Forestry, of course in the Ministry of Agriculture.
Yes.
Welcome to the program, Ms. Haynes.
Thank you very much, Sydney.
And of course, thank you for being here, for taking your busy schedule. I know you're busy, and with that program, you have a lot.
Yes.
So I'm very happy to be here on that program to let the public know what's happening with that program. Give us a background into this program, this Mango Biodiversity Project. You know, how was it conceptualized? You know, and the aims and objectives.
Okay, well, the Mango Biodiversity Project is actually a Global Climate Change Alliance OECS project. So this project is not only happening in St. Lucia, but in the other OECS islands.
Okay.
And this project was conceptualized to build resilience with regards to climate change, because it is recognized as small island states, we are the most vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. Although we contribute minuscule with regards to greenhouse gas emissions, but we are most impacted. So this was looked at, and this project was conceptualized where we'd have a participatory approach using what we know to build resilience. And one of the things that all, if not most of the Caribbean islands have is mango. So this came about. So looking at mango to build resilience, also mango with regards to assisting with food security, livelihoods, improved nutrition, and all of that.
Okay. How long is this project, the duration of that project, and of course the organizations behind the funding of this project?
Okay, well, this project is funded by the EU, and the project in St. Lucia will terminate next year November, God willing. And there are various aspects of this Mango Biodiversity Project. One aspect, for instance, is where we're looking at a model watershed where the Corinth Bois d'Orange watershed is looked at. So gabion baskets will be put in, planting of mango plants will be done along the riverbanks for riverbank stabilization, public awareness created, because we visited many areas along that river, and one of the main issues we're having, for instance, is improper disposal of garbage, of solid waste, and it's very terrible. So including the community people, the residents, the business owners, getting everybody involved. Another aspect of this project is where about 6,000 mango plants will actually be planted in vulnerable areas. And vulnerable areas have been identified in terms of vulnerable slopes where we've had landslides, and also along certain riverbanks where these mango plants will be planted, because it has been realized, because of the deep taproot system of the mango plant, they're very good at holding the soil together, preventing erosion and stabilizing these areas. Another aspect of the project is public awareness, which is the component I am more involved in. So if you plant mango plants, and a survey was done, I believe, in 2007, where they said we have over 60,000 bearing mango plants in St. Lucia alone. Plus we'll be, that was before Thomas. We lost a few, but not too many. Plus, we'll be planting more. So the aspect of the fruit was looked at with regards to economic value of the fruit, nutrition, food security. So it's a very large project and very interesting project.
Very interesting. As you mentioned, mangoes, especially in the tree crop program of the ministry, years ago, we encouraged farmers to plant mangoes because of the deep taproot system that it has. And it has worked.
Yes.
We have seen how resilient they are,
Yeah.
you know, and even if Thomas and some other, you know, disasters have taken some, but I think they have stood the time of the test,
Yes, they have stood the test of times. When farmers plots, a lot of farmers plots in various areas was visited, and places like Maho, you found that a lot of the places where land slippage did not occur, the primary crop there or plant there was mango.
Okay.
So it has shown that it can be resilient and stand the test of time, as you have said.
Yeah. In terms of the climate change, what are the contributory factors to climate change as in that regard?
Well, we know one of the main culprits is increased carbon dioxide emissions. And this causes the increase of the greenhouse gas effect. So this causes the increase of our global temperature. Now, although from the figure, if I know correctly, St. Lucia only contributes like 0.0015%, which is minuscule, which is next to nothing.
Okay.
But I believe in leading by example. So not because we hardly contribute anything that we should do nothing, because we are impacted. That's why I said it is important that we build resilience. And this is one of the adaptive measures that we're taking, or this project is encouraging, so that we can be more resilient to the storms. And look, we're in the hurricane season.
Correct, yes.
We don't know what we're expecting. But the more we could build resilience, the better for us, so that we'll be able to cope and recover from the impacts of climate change.
The areas that, can you give us the areas that have been identified where you're going to be planting more of those mango trees?
Well, I know some of them. I don't know all. I know Mabuya Valley. I know Tomaso, areas in Tomaso. There's a place in Monboaden. There are various areas. Some areas along, like I said, the Corin Bois d'Orange River. Multiple areas have been identified which are vulnerable. Okay. For planting of mango.
But are this on farmers' holdings or government lands?
The majority of it is actually on private lands. Okay. So there is interface with the farmers, showing them how agroforestry could be to their benefit. Not only will it protect their soil, so that the great-grandchildren to come, God willing, will have land to farm on, but that they could get economic benefits from it.
Okay. So at the end of the day, you all have had discussions with the farmers in that regard, and how soon are those plants going to be planted?
Okay, well, the Forestry Department has been interacting with farmers, and the plants are already being propagated in nurseries. So not long from now, they will be planted.
What about varieties? What varieties? Any specific varieties?
Actually, one of the things that is encouraged is that a lot of our traditional varieties, especially some of those, we are seeing fewer and fewer of be planted. So it's a variety of mangoes, all different varieties, not just one type.
Okay. Is that maybe an area that we can now look at and identify the various varieties? Because there's some varieties in the north are called Name 1, and that same variety in VF4 is called Name 2. You know, is it somewhere that I think at one time the ministry wanted to, you know, get to look at the varieties and say, okay, that is variety 1, and that can be identified anywhere in St. Lucia? Okay,
well, I know one of the things that wanted to be done is not part of this project, but I heard discussions that they may have another phase in mapping out the mangoes on the island, so you know exactly what type is found where, so that there is standardization and uniformity.
Great. Very good. Okay, we are due for a break. We are watching Agriculture on the Move. Due for our first break. Stay tuned.
Bio means life. Biodiversity is the variety of life all around us. All plants, animals, and microbes, and the places where they live. We need to protect biodiversity so that we can continue to enjoy all the resources it provides. Fresh air, clean water, food, clothing, shelter, and recreation. Biosafety ensures that we protect biodiversity against any negative impacts of GMOs while using it safely for national development.
For more information on the Biosafety Project and how you can be involved, call 451-8746 or 722-9252. Log on to lc.biosafetyclearinghouse.net or join the mailing list SLU Biosafety at govt.lc.
Welcome back to the program. Nicole, is that part of the program in terms of, we're talking about livelihoods, all right? Yes, we talk about resilience in terms of soil conservation measures. We talk about agroforest. Will the farmers be able to, one, do some agro-processing in the community. We have this, for example, the Forestry agro-processing plant. We also have the Angers processing plant. We are in the mango season, and based on what I have seen, we have a bumper crop this year.
Yes.
Okay, I hope it's not a result of El Nino and El Niña. but we have quite a lot of mangoes this year. What do you think the way forward? Do you think that we can empower the young people in the rural communities to do processing, starting from mango juice, selling to the schools, and especially with the school feeding program? What are your thoughts on that?
Definitely, I think there's a lot of scope, and one of the things we have planned is to have a series of workshops where farmers as well as agro-processors are invited to those workshops and show how further value could be added to the mango. We know a lot can be done: mango pickle, mango jam, mango jelly, juice, all those things like you've said. And we know that our unemployment percentage is very high. So this is another avenue where young people can be empowered. And like you say, we have mangoes everywhere. So we are working with community groups as well as agro-processors, and we do have a set of workshops planned to invite those persons further to dialogue. So for instance, even if maybe the community groups at present cannot set up an agro-processing plant like the one at Forestry, because we know it takes a large initial financial startup, but at least to have a place where they could sell their mangoes.
That's the point, yes.
So they could earn a living.
That's right.
And for agro-processors who have not embraced the use of mango in their line of products, to further do that. Also, I know the Ministry of Agriculture is working assiduously in getting niche markets, because we know our mango is seasonal. You'll not get it throughout the year, but niche markets where they will understand that it's a seasonal crop and that is when it can be provided, so that further employment and empowerment can happen with our community persons, our community folk, especially young persons. So that is an aspect that is being looked at and is being explored.
And are you all working with the schools in that regard also?
Well, not directly. To some degree, for instance, we were looking at FNN teachers and FNN students in secondary schools, but we've not particularly targeted primary schools, but secondary schools at this point.
Recently, you all had a cooking competition.
Oh, yes.
What was that about, and how did it go?
Okay, well, we have what is called a Mango Biodiversity Cooking Competition. Although I was corrected and said, do not call it cooking competition,
yes, I was thinking,
but food preparation competition.
Right.
Since everything will not be cooked.
Yes.
So I was corrected there. But we had a week-long camp in the north at the Castries Comprehensive Secondary Schools, where 2 students from all secondary schools in the north came in. They formed groups, and then they were mentored by chefs. And we're talking about top chefs like Chef Robbie and Chef Rennie from Njame and Chef Showin Elitier. Talking about top chefs from the top hotels in the north. They came in, mentored them, and they had to prepare an appetizer, a main course, and a dessert, where mango was highlighted in all those dishes. And the children had a wonderful time cooking. Part of the week-long camp was to visit, each group was to visit a kitchen of those various hotels, and they were given a tour of the kitchen. They were allowed to cook, and they were allowed to see actual chefs in action. And a lot of those students, for them, it was a rude awakening. Some looked at me and said, Miss, I didn't know it had so much hard work. And some said, Miss, this is great. I'm enjoying this. And to think so much we could do with mango and Caribbean cuisine, and they found it very exciting. This camp we had in the north, actually it's currently going on in Vieux-Fort. We cannot leave the schools with the south out. So Friday is going to culminate on them having a competition among themselves, and the winners of the north will compete against the winners of the south. We're looking at next week, the 26th of July. God willing, it will be at the Windjammer Hotel, the kitchen of the Windjammer Hotel. So that will be the grand finale. The grand finale. And we had participation from all the secondary schools.
All the secondary schools? All the secondary
schools on island. So the FNN teachers, I'd like to thank them, take this opportunity. We met with them one-on-one, spoke with them. They selected their students. And so far it has been going well, has a few challenges, but overall it's been going well, and the students were inspired. That's the important thing. They were inspired, they saw new uses of mango in food preparation, so they're really loving it, and I'm happy for that.
Did you all get the financial institutions involved? Why I'm asking that question is, if one or two of the students decide that they want to take that on and they want that project to be financed, you know, how do you see, the financing agency coming on board?
Coming on board, well, I guess we'd have to ask for sponsorship.
Okay.
We'd have to ask for sponsorship, but in terms of the students getting further exposure, some of the hotels have said they would allow the students to come and do internships in their kitchens so that they could get further exposure. But with regards to finance for probably furthering their studies in the culinary arts, that would probably have to seek funding. And
to also have their own, say, community project. For example, take on some of the things that they have just learned from the cooking competition or whatever the preparation, and they now, for example, like mango chutney.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the things I remember years ago, that there was this company, buying mangoes from the farmers and the green mangoes and put it in brine solution and shipping away for secondary processing. Yeah. So I'm thinking, I mean, there is scope.
There is.
You know.
It's for us to exploit it and to get the participation of all the relevant stakeholders,
so
for them to see that vision.
What avenue are you using in terms of education, in terms of publicity to the community to get that information out there?
Okay, well, one of the things we're doing work on the ground with, for instance, our range officers who would target the farmers and also going to some of the schools, doing some education, doing programs like yours, for instance, doing radio programs, putting some stuff on Facebook. We know the young people like social media, but there's a lot more we need to do, and we've had, for certain aspects of the project, for instance, the model watershed, we've had community meetings, we've had stakeholder meetings. So there's a lot of work to be done for sure, but we've started something.
Okay, great. Now, I know you are planning for a mango festival. All right, now that is my forte. I love that, and I would love to see that happen. So give us a little insight into this.
We're expecting your participation in a big way. Okay, so this project will culminate November next year, like I said, and we have various things planned. Like you said, one of them is the food preparation competition. Let me use the right term.
Yes.
We also want to compile a recipe book, so all the ideas of the students used, and the teachers as well, and we're approaching other persons for recipe ideas using mango, fresh original recipes. So we'll compile a recipe books. We have a series of workshops planned, but we want to end this project with, like they said, a big shebang. So we want to end it with a mango festival, and we want it on a large scale. Okay. So we're looking at next year, June, July, when we'll be in the mango season. Right. So it is something that we expect to go well, and something that will create more exposure, more public awareness, and invite farmers, processors, chefs, persons from all walks of life who know about mango, and to let them know how important this fruit is, not only with regards to livelihood and food security, but also, like I've said before, building resilience to climate change.
Great. And there's also, but we're going to another break, and when I come back, I still want to ask you about the Mango Festival, because there's certain things I believe that looking at the other islands to come to join into, kind of thing. Okay. You're watching Agriculture on the Move. Back soon.
St. Lucia is blessed year-round with an abundance of fruits. But do you know that most of them go to waste? Here's an opportunity to invest either from a small to a large-scale agro-processing enterprise. You can contact the Ministry of Agriculture for further information.
Welcome back to the program. Ms. La Force, I was wondering whether, since, that project is replicated, in the other OECS islands, whether, you know, we should, by way of information, knowing what they're doing, okay, and whether maybe when the project comes to an end, have the other islands come in together and do something. Maybe the mango festival, maybe it can be an avenue for that to happen. So at least we know what they have done in the other islands.
Okay, well, that sounds like a wonderful idea. I don't know that this is in the pipeline.
Yes.
But if we could have that kind of collaboration, that would be great. Maybe have guest farmers or processors from the other islands come in and showcase what they do and have that kind of exchange.
Great.
That would be a lovely idea. We were not looking at it on such a scale. We were more focusing on St. Lucia and our local agro-processors and farmers and general populace. But it's something to think about. I would not say it's an impossibility.
Of course, right. I think it's funding, eh? It's about this funding.
Yes,
the way forward, what are the programs that you have in relation to climate change? What would you want to tell us again?
Okay, well, what I'd like everyone to know is that climate change is all of us. It impacts all of us. It's all of our business. So whatever we can do to mitigate and adapt so that we could build resilience, so that when the impacts of climate change come, we are better able to recover, we are better able to cope, that we should do it. And it involves using what we currently have and empowering everyone. And especially, I'm passionate with regards to creating livelihoods in the rural communities to empower those persons, because without the economic gain, there's not much you can do. But with regards to the environment, it's not hard for every individual to plant a tree, or at least plant a mango tree. That little thing that they're going to do will impact greatly in the long run. So I want everyone to know that climate change, we cannot escape it, we cannot run away from it, but we could do our best to be adaptive so that we can be more resilient.
So the project that you're working on in terms of the farmers planting those trees, how is that? That is done in conjunction with the Extension Division, in terms of, for example, are you going there? The land clearing will be done by the farmer. The lining of the trees, the mounds, the planting. How is that coordinated?
Okay, well, we want to do minimal land disturbance. A lot of the planting is done by farmers. Also, we have forestry workers. So each forestry range, they work with farmers in the area. Extension is on board to some degree, yes. But the farmers themselves, along with the Forestry Division, the Forestry Department, the forestry officers, they would go to the site, identify the site, and do the planting. And the farmers would maintain it. And the economic benefits as well as the environmental benefits would be explained to them so that they could keep those plants on their land. And that's where later agriculture extension comes in with regards to assisting with getting markets for them for those mangoes.
Okay, so in other words, when it comes to the whole agronomic practices in terms of fertilizing, pest management, the cost of that, who's going to bear that?
Well, the initial cost, the project funds it, but then from then on, it will be the farmer's responsibility. Okay,
so you all definitely have to have a lot of work to do, because these days it's a bit rough for farmers to put out money there, so you must show them the economic benefits to be derived from that. So, I mean, so have you all started that program in terms of going out there to sensitize them out in the...
Yeah, that is happening. This is happening especially on the ground. So we have our forest range officers going to the farmers, meeting with them on a one-on-one, face-to-face, and going and see their plots and their sites and explaining what we would like to see at present and in the future, and what gains and benefits it will be to them.
So the zoning of those areas, that was done by the Forestry Department?
Yes.
I mean, what is it, the most vulnerable areas that were identified? How was that done? I mean, you know, give us an idea.
Okay, well, like I said, there are 5 ranges, meaning 5 different zones that the island is separated into with regards to forestry.
All right.
And each range officer, forest range officer with their workers, they know their range or they know their zone and they know the people living there. So they would actually go and do a reconnaissance and identify those areas. So the most vulnerable was selected on that basis for planting of the crops, of the
I think
mangoes.
off camera we were speaking about the various varieties. I think we mentioned that. So is this something that you all are considering down the road to actually regularize the varieties? Somewhere down the road to say, okay, now we can say that, you know, in the north, in the south, or in the east, that one mango with many names can be one name?
I don't know that it's something we could completely eradicate, because I mean some things are entrenched in persons. They say they'll say Mweleve Sase Norme Connect. That's the name I know. That may never change. But there is a phase of the project, or looking for funding for another phase, where we'll actually do mapping of the mangoes species. So know what species are found where and what's their proper name, their scientific name, see if that needs updating, and to create a map, a mango map. So someone could look and say, okay, this area you find predominantly Palwi mango, or there's a mixture of these type of mangoes, and these are their proper names and their scientific names and all of that.
Even the soil type too, maybe one can decide, you know, going around in your mapping, maybe mango palwi can grow it grows in a particular soil type in a particular area, you know, as it were. So all of that probably can be looked at.
That would be great information to have.
Yeah, we need that, especially for our kids coming up. You know, we need to leave information for them.
True.
Yeah. Any final words that you would like to tell the public?
Okay, well, I would like everyone to know that this project is impactful, it's important, and when the various persons who are involved in this project approach you as a resident, approach you as a farmer, as an agro-processor, that we would like your participation, we would like your collaboration, and that for everyone to see that this project is for the benefit of all of us, the benefit of St. Lucia, building resilience to climate change, so that we are better able, as I've said in the past, to cope and to recover from the impacts of climate change, because it impacts all of us.
Those farmers with existing orchards, is there, are they been recognized in the program in any way?
Not currently.
Okay.
Not currently. We are, well, some of the farmers whose lands have been disturbed, some of them already have existing. So in that case, yes. But like if their soil has not been impacted and it has not been identified as a vulnerable area, currently, no.
Okay.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Well, Mr. La Force, I want to thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
I wish you success with your program. I hope you know, the school kids really embrace that project, because it can be very exciting, and I'm looking forward for the Mango Festival.
Yes,
and think of getting the other islands. Some maybe a success story, you know, to come in and showcase what it is that they have done, you know, in the other islands, you know, and so we can exchange ideas. I think since it's an OECS project, I think we should treat it, you know, OECS, and have some collaboration in that regard. Yes,
on the OECS website, we do have some of the other activities happening in the other islands posted on there as well. OECS.org, the website.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you again.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
Thanks. You've been watching Agriculture on the Move. I've been speaking with Nicole La Force-Haynes, who is the Environment Education Officer in the Department of Forestry. And we were talking about the OECS Mango Biodiversity Project. Thank you for viewing, and remember, agriculture is our business, and eat fresh, St. Lucia's best. I'm Phillip Sydney saying goodbye and see you again. Thank you, ma'am.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.